All right, doing that now.
All right, welcome to the meeting for September for the cross initiative leads. Last time we had a number of issues that we wanted to follow up on for various initiatives. I'm not hearing anybody wanting to kind of volunteer to go first. So is it all right if I just pick somebody? Maybe Christina?
Sure, why not? Let's see, Laurie, just stop me if I'm saying something wrong. We've been working both on designs and development of several components, and for the beta release, we are almost there. We just need to review 2 more design components that are pretty straightforward because we're adapting designs to the current 7 style. So we are kind of making MVPs for some of the components, and also we've got 2 new beta release blockers, one about an accessibility review that Andrew made, and another bug that was found after some tests with Claro, which is actually that the views UI is breaking from, well, when you try to edit any view. So we have several issues that are almost there, and there are mainly 4-5 issues that still need some work for the beta blocker release. And about the issue for adding Claro to Drupal core, Laurie, do you have more info about that?
I don't have any info about that, but I think we are pretty close to the point where it could be added to core as an alpha module, not a module, a theme. And I've been thinking of talking to the release managers about that at some point, hopefully later this week.
What do you need from whom? And is there anyone on this call that can help you?
Well, that's the thing. We don't know what we need.
Oh, so the requirements for what you need to get into core are not documented? Is that what I'm understanding?
So yeah, I don't know if we actually know all of the steps for getting into core as an alpha team. That's what I wanted to talk to the release managers about.
Okay, and is there a person in particular, so like Jess or Catch, or do you need to speak to both?
I was thinking of talking to Jess, but I could talk to Catch as well, so there's no specific person.
I did ping Catch after the last call to let him know that you were looking for clarity and support on getting this pushed through. And he said he would take a look at it, and I will let both of them know that you're looking for clarity on requirements to make sure that you're meeting them. Did you manage to get enough support on the accessibility side while we're talking about requirements to get into core? Because I know that that was something that was kind of up in the air last time.
I think we still need more accessibility reviews. We definitely don't have a sign-off, but as far as I know, we don't really need a strong sign-off to the alpha stage. But yeah, I don't know what level of confidence do we need from the accessibility maintainers at this point. And that's kind of what I wanted to talk about with the release managers. So what is the level of sign-off we need from each of the maintainers that we've been tagged to get a sign-off from?
So just to clarify, we've had already an accessibility review from Andrew, and we have a lot of feedback already there. What we don't know is if that's going to be like a blocker for now or something like that.
Well, we got a feedback, but it doesn't mean that it's extensive. Like exactly. He's reviewed one aspect of it, but that's like one out of so many use cases that could be reviewed, I guess. So yeah, so we've been getting some feedback, but we haven't gotten any kind of overview of like, does it look good, does it look bad, so on.
I was on mute. In terms of the next step then, I think that we need to make sure that we get a release manager to sit down with you. Actually, that aligns well because I just sent out an email recently about the 8.8 release to our Acquia team, not like in general. And I asked Jess to sit down with you and with Adam and with a couple others just to make sure that you guys understood the requirements for core. So this actually lines up perfectly with that. So I will double ask her to do it. That way we can make sure that it happens. Okay. Is there anything else that you need, maybe from Alex, B, or others who are on this call?
Not right now, probably later on, I'm not sure. Maybe there's some discussions about the layout, but maybe that's more product or release manager, and we will be able to discuss that also when we discuss the rest of the things. So I think that's all.
All right. In that case, let's move on to the next person. I'm just going to keep calling people out if no one has any specific order. Andre, would you like to go next?
Yes, sure. So in the past few weeks, we have some progress in the workspace for the workspace module. We had a meeting with Catch, release manager and framework manager, and he, I mean, we have a list of stable blockers, and we're just going through it. A few of them already landed, others are work in progress. There's one big undertaking that he wanted to have before marking workspaces as stable, and that's the conversion of path aliases to entities, which is a pretty big patch. But apart from that,
for me? My internet is cutting out slightly. Conversion of what to what?
Conversion of path aliases to entities.
Thank you. Perfect.
Okay. Like I said, that's a big patch, and I guess a bit risky. But other than that, there are just two other major things: making it compatible with content moderation, and the ability to add sub workspaces, but those are much smaller in scope. And I think the remaining month is okay. For what do we have left? As for committers, no specific thing right now. Maybe in a few days when we'll get some RTBC patches, I can ping various people about it.
Okay. So when last I heard in our chat internal to Acquia, I kind of got the feeling like Workspaces was looking likely to land in 8.8. Is that still your feeling?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Great. So you're just going to be working on the 3 major blockers that were identified, and then you'll be pinging people for final review and hopefully getting that into core.
Yep.
Awesome. I'm going to put on track right now for getting into core pending final reviews of those changes. The last question I have for you, have you spoken at all with Dries about like what could be demoed potentially at DrupalCon? I know there's a big event coming up in October. Might be an opportunity to showcase some of the work that you guys have done.
Yeah, I spoke with Dick Olson about that, and he's gonna be part of the keynote together with Gabor and all the other initiative leaders.
Great.
So at least that's something that we'll have to show. As for Drizzy's keynote, I'm not sure if we should duplicate what we have for the other one, but
No, it doesn't sound like, that's what I was talking about, is working on that.
right. Yeah, well, Dick will be part of the keynote, Gabor's keynote.
All right,
To
thank you.
showcase stuff.
Sounds like a plan. Is there anything else that you want to add?
No, not really. That's it for us.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, let me see. Who else have we got on here? I see Keith, Lucas, Alex. I don't see any other. We don't have Fabian today. Gabor, do you want to give a multilingual update?
Multilingual migrations, you mean?
Mm-hmm.
I may not be the perfect person for that, but so we've got most of the required issues listed for the making it stable committed, and then Alex Pot was working a bunch with Vicky on the remaining ones, so it would probably be better to talk about.
I might be one that can speak to migration stuff.
Yeah, you too?
Great.
Yeah. Plenty of people for that.
Yeah. I guess you want a migration now, or do you want Gabor to do mine first?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Well, real quick on migrations. Yeah, the multilingual stuff is our big focus right now. We ran into a lot of trouble trying to, we originally had one migration that migrated the latest version of every node, and then another one that did revisions, then another one that did translations, and then we were trying to add a fourth one that did translations of all the old revisions. And we very quickly realized that the entity API system really does not like us trying to do that. And there was just no way to kind of go back and after the fact add all these old translations in. So we've kind of realized that to actually get data migrated over correctly, we have to kind of abandon this approach that we were doing where we, start with, get the most important stuff in and then go back in and add it. We have to, in a case where you have revisions and translations, we basically need to do one big migration that just basically replays the entire the entire node revision table, and then let the entity API kind of properly rebuild the whole thing in D8. So instead of doing one migration that migrates the latest version of nodes and then another one for revisions, just start at the beginning of the revision, the node revision table, and each row gets its own one, and basically you just save the nodes in the same order they were saved originally in D7. You kind of rebuild the whole thing. So that's been very promising. Sadly, it's just awfully late in the game, so we're kind of rushing to get it all tested and working and making sure that there's no side effects and making sure that it can run with the bigger migration system. So that's what we're looking at right now. So we're trying to get that wrapped up as quickly as possible.
So you're in test and validation mode basically on the solution that you found.
Yeah, it's definitely a good solution. It's just a matter of there's a lot of cleanup because it changes a lot of things that we were doing before. So making sure that it doesn't disrupt things that other people were doing. We're kind of trying to find a way to make that like the last option if you happen to need all of this. We're trying to keep it so the old stuff still works. If you're doing a simpler non-revision or non-translation migration, and have this one big master one kind of take over if you need the most complicated, all the bells and whistles, all of this stuff. And so we're just kind of trying to figure out practically exactly how to get that in. So good progress. It's definitely coming along. We definitely feel like we're at a point where it's actually working now. It's just a matter of cleaning it up such that it's actually committable and releasable and usable by everybody.
Backwards compatibility. This is Lucas. Backwards compatibility might be a concern, but we'll work through all of these things.
Cool. So it's working. We need to test and validate, clean up. All right, that's great news. Any blockers?
I mean, that is the that is our big blocker, is just getting, making sure that we evaluate how that's going to affect everything. The old way was nice for people doing custom upgrades because they were able to spit out all these individual migrations that they were able to tweak. And so we're trying to make sure that we preserve a way for people to do that. If we switch it over to one big master migration, they kind of lose some of the granularity in making adjustments. So yeah, that is the blocker, just making sure that we do that in the BC way, because it's really the only way to get the entity API to cooperate to copy over the whole, translatable node revision history from D7 to D8. Really the only way to do it is to replay that whole table. So we got to make it work. We just got to, hammer out the last few details on making sure we don't break anything when we do it.
Do you need anything from anyone specifically on the call, like Alex or Lowry from a?
No, but we will, as we go, be pinging framework managers and entity subsystem maintainers if we need any, orient translation maintainers and all that, if we need any advice on the individual API systems. But I think we've hammered through that. I think talking to those people is what led us to realize that we basically needed to replay the whole table in order to get this to work right. And it's worked really, really well. It's just a big change that we have to find the right way to introduce. So.
Okay, so I'm writing subsystem, entity subsystem maintainers, framework management, PM, and RM will probably
Hey, Mike, to do due diligence, it might make sense to schedule just a call for all of us to just walk through the architecture of it and try to brainstorm scenarios where this might break.
You mean you, me, and Vicky, or you mean other? You,
me, Vicky, and most likely Gabor and someone else. Yeah. Just to have, because I'm feeling like I want to poke holes and on this call, and this isn't the right call to do that.
No, definitely not. We'll talk about it offline, and we can get those people if we need to.
And my poking of holes might be, oh yeah, we've thought of that.
Oh no, I mean, we need to poke whatever holes you can. I still think, I think this is the way we need to do it, so we need to find a way.
I like the approach. I think it will work. I'm not sure that once we get to the end of it, if it's going to look exactly like what we've got now. This feels complicated because it is complicated.
It is.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Should we move on to Mike Lutz with Migrate and Drupal 9 update?
Well, that was
probably Gabor on that too, huh?
Yeah, well, that was...
sorry. I didn't mean to say that. I meant Lucas. Sorry, I'm getting my people mixed.
So yeah, that was the migrate. I'll let Gabor do Drupal 9 if he hasn't already.
Anything else you want to add for Drupal 9, Gabor?
Drupal 9. There's a lot of things. So, and also in part of my class. So I guess we've been burning down on the remaining uses of deprecated APIs in Drupal core. There's a few remaining that's progressing well, and the ones that are left are hard. And then Symfony 4.4 compatibility is something that Mike worked on with Alex Bott, and there was a lot of mysterious issues on TestBot with that, and they figured out that it's most likely a memory issue with a lot of deprecations fired. That was segfaulting the TestBot basically, and so that's disabled now in a test, and it's green. So we'll see once we resolve some of those things that if it could come back green without being disabled. The contrib tooling upgrade status module became stable, and there's not been reports. There's not been any significant error reports. There was one curious person where the UI did not show up at all, I don't know what happened there. But there's been no other problems reported since then. And I worked with a bunch of people on Drupal module upgrader to make the tests pass there with 8.8 and the latest PHP unit, etc. And to make the existing transformations in Drupal module upgrader produce Drupal 9 compatible code, so that when it produces the transform code from Drupal 7, it's Drupal 8 and 9 compatible, which is good. So, hopefully it's going to be fine. We released a new tag of that 1.5, I believe, and we'll see. That was yesterday, so we haven't gotten much feedback on that yet, but we'll see if there's any feedback on that. And now we are looking at possibly combining that with the Drupal 8 Rector project, which converts your Drupal 8 code to Drupal 9. So we don't need to write new transformations for APIs that were the same between 7 and 8, like Drupal 7 message and a bunch of other things that was basically the same in Drupal 7, the Drupal 8. So we need to do the transformations the same way, regardless of the source being Drupal 8 or 7.
Did I spell that right? It's with a K, right? R-E-K-T-O-R.
Rector is with the C.
Dang. I don't know why that K.
So, so those are the Contrib ecosystem stuff. Ryan at the DA has been running tests on all of Contrib for deprecation errors. And we have a script that parses them for common issues. And we've been perfecting the results. So we spent a lot of time this week to try to perfect the results, so we have a better idea of all the deprecations across all of Contrib. So if anyone's interested, I will put a link in here just so you can see the results. It's on dispatcher.drupalci.org, but it's a separate job. It's not a regular testbot job. So we've been working on trying to perfect exactly which branches it runs on, etc. To have the best picture of Contrib status. And then for core, I think the requirements have been redefined recently, I think is a good way to say that. So the Drupal 9 branch should be open no matter what with the Drupal 8.9 branch in less than a month.
Oh, so that's exciting.
It needs to be a Drupal 9 branch in less than a month. But there's also some things that would be nice to get in line for that. Like if the Twig 2 and Symfony 4.4 are green at that point, then the branch is going to be open and the patches to update to Symfony 4 and Twig 2 will be committed to the branch right away. And then the Drupal 9 branch will be a useful branch at DrupalCon to start testing modules again and start removing deprecated APIs. And Shannon and I hope to organize a Drupal 9 sprint in Amsterdam to work on removing deprecated APIs themselves from Drupal core, to do contrib readiness, and to work on more of the tooling missing pieces. It's a lot of stuff.
Yeah, you're busy.
Yeah. Well, so that helps. I mean, if everybody could have their initiative as their day job, that would be wonderful.
So I should put, hey, initiative owners, make your stuff D9 ready, please. Why can't I spell initiative? All right. Sounds like there's a lot of work going on there. Is there anything else that you want to add or ask of framework maintainers, other
I think that's it.
Core people?
For the things I'm working on, at least.
All right. Who am I missing? Which initiatives am I missing of people who are on the call?
For a demo, I think.
We
didn't do the auto updates either.
Yeah, auto updates and demo.
All right, so go ahead, call out your name and initiative for me so I can add a line for you, whoever wants to go next.
I've already talked, so let's do demo first.
Hi there, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Great. So it's Keith J here. So Umami demo, yeah, just a little bit of progress to report on. So Offa's been busy working on the media side of things. So he's revisiting a patch that was sort of kind of ready to go, needs some updates. And I believe that he's doing really well with that, and but he has found a core bug to do with translations. So that's something that's currently being worked on. I'm working on the layout builder side of things, so plenty of work going into that. Refactoring of how the grid works in Umami, just to support, or to properly support layout builder. We want to get to a point where you can just dive in and start playing with it in as many places as it makes sense to do so, if folks start playing around with it. So at the moment, layout builder is enabled on the recipe type in just a basic format. Of course, the original designs for that allow us to do quite a bit more. So that's something that I'm currently working on. Also looking at making the front page based on layout builder. So that's currently going on. It's going well. In conjunction with that, I'm still producing more tour tips. So we'll have some expanded tour tips to go into the next release. And I'm also working with someone in the UK here called Anna Cristoforo, who is a chef, and she has got some amazing little recipes, really great photography, really lovely stuff. So it's quite exciting that we've got some nice new content that we're going to be able to bring to it. And so I'm getting together with her over the next few weeks to bring that together. Hopefully, one of those things being a small short video in order to demo media in action, so some video work there. And we're working on the layout switcher still. So that issue, I think that issue might be needing some review from anybody with some JavaScript chops. But yeah, that's currently where we're up to on the Umami demo.
All right, so you're just going to continue working on that stuff. Any blockers on your end?
I don't believe so. I've only just heard from Offa. He's at dentist alone, so he's not able to give me a full update about this core bug. So I don't know if he's needing help over there, or where that's at. That's issue number 2955392. So no, I don't think so. Otherwise.
Okay, so you don't need anything from product management or release management or framework management?
Not that I'm aware of at the moment. No, I think we're good.
Okay, thank you. All right,
Cheers.
I think we just have one more. Who's next?
Automated updates, the only thing.
Did I miss?
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, automated.
Yeah, let's do those. This is Lucas Heading. There's really only one. So let me do a quick background on auto updates. We've launched an alpha one. I think we had it at our last call as well, but maybe not. It has the readiness checks and the public safety announcement features. This is available on both Drupal 7 and Drupal 8. Yesterday we did a video podcast kind of describing things. So that'll go out in October, first weekend of October. And the DA is working on its sort of blog post, something, interview, and that's possibly going to take place tomorrow, sort of promoting this. We also are on the hook for Gabor's request to come up with some screenshots or video sort of clicking around in this module with its current state. We're making good progress on adding the in-place updates. So there's three pieces. There's that we're building with this auto update. The first two don't actually update. They just help you get to the point where you can update. PSAs just sort of announce a couple days in advance, hey, it's coming. readiness checks are pre-flight checks that confirm that your site is in a state where you can update. So there's about 8 or 9 of these. And there's warnings and errors. Errors won't let you upgrade, in-place update. Warnings typically won't cause you any issues, but you should probably consider them. An example of a warning is you're not actually running cron that often. So, an auto update comes and it might take you a week because you only run cron once a week. That's obviously not going to stop you in a week from updating, but we sure want to let you know. But an error would be, hey, your file system is read-only. You can't do an in-place upgrade because, well, we can't write to the hard drive. If you don't have enough disk space, hey, that's kind of an issue as well. We don't want to get halfway through updating and run out of file system space. The last part is the actual update, and we're doing for the first iteration, an in-place update. That patch is now green using a zip archive from Drupal.org that Neil Drum has so kindly been working on for us. It's green, it's RTBC. I'm kind of holding out on committing it because there's a core patch for a new test type that I was really hoping would land first. And that one's sort of been going back and forth. I think we're real close, but we're getting to a point where we're maybe starting to bike shed a little, and we should just commit it with where it's at. I'll link that here into the chat in a few minutes. And then after we land that, it's just a service that I was just talking about, the thing that's turning green. We still have to wire up the calls into the service from like a cron job. And then we have to start fielding support requests because we don't really know how folks are going to use this thing. What else?
Are you planning on doing like a beta test, like being a part of the beta test program?
So this is all contrib at this point. Mm-hmm. Some of these things, actually all of these things will eventually make their way into core at various points. Because of timelines, it'll probably be more like 8.9 or 9, depending on politics and when things can slot themselves. I don't think we're at this point slating anything for 8.8. Not that we can't. If someone grabbed something from contrib and opened up an issue, it's just focus and resource constraints. Let's use the money that we're getting from the European Commission in the most wise manner, which is getting real features, even if it's in contrib.
It sounds to me like you're working through the final issues related to part 3 in-place updates. Then you're going to test and validate that to get to RTBC and do a beta release, e.g. like a full feature
we'll
release.
Have a beta release.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how fast we'll go from beta to stable. We're going to be changing files on you. Mm-hmm. So I kind of want to have a little bit of time for folks to report in that I just host their site before we go stable on it. Because I fully expect that there are going to be a few folks that are going to be edge cases that we're not covering with their testing, that, the world out there is so wild, and I fully expect that one of those folks is going to find some things that we just can't cover. It's going to be very interesting when they find these things. And at that point, I'd rather not have it be a critical thing in core, but more of a as long as possible, keep it in contrib. The other component is the actual in-place updates. In its current state, won't make it into core. Jess and other release managers want us to do an A/B style front controller with basically a clone of Drupal behind all of this. So we've got 8.7.5 and 8.7.6 in 2 different folders. So that's the part that will make it into core. All this other stuff around pre-flight checks and PSAs, that's just another channel of announcing to people their readiness for updating. It's not the real value, which is the in-place updates.
Oops, I was on mute. Okay, so it sounds like really the focus is on trying to get to a stable contributor release, and then we'll work on core later, and it will probably be without the in-place updates. All right. Is there anything else that you'd like to ask of the other people in the call?
Yeah, we have a bunch of core committers, so if we can unblock you in any way.
Core committers, if you want to look at that test type that I mentioned, is that the one that Ryan just linked? Yeah, he just linked it into our chat here. Yes. If you guys can tell us what are the blockers, and then we'll stop iterating on a 50K patch, because as developers, we will find areas to improve.
Awesome. Sounds like you're making good progress.
Mark that RTBC just to.
I can look at it. I can look at it before it's RDBC, considering like some of the ideas came from my head.
Yeah,
so
all right.
Perfect. So I have been planning to look at it for a while. I just haven't got around to it. Sorry.
It's really, really exciting. Nat looked at it the other day. Didn't have a lot of feedback besides he was excited. And his thoughts at the time were, let's get it in and iterate on it.
Yeah, I will look at it as soon as possible. Hopefully I can move it on.
Okay, cool.
And then we did not yet have Composer.
Yes. And we have Ryan on the call.
I got caught up in filling up my disk this morning and was like, how do I unfill my disk? So, yeah, so the Composer Initiative, we've got a tremendous amount of progress. We're down to the very last couple of little things. The main one is getting a template actually added to core. We've been working on the infrastructure side of things, generating meta packages for basically in the Composer templated world. We're looking for the proper strategy to have core's dependencies a secure and safe set of dependencies, and yet not have it be too restrictive and too locked down to make it difficult for people to install modules that might have a slightly different exact version that it needs. So that's the thing that we've been working on, is the core recommended, which is sort of like a lock file but a meta package for that. But that's all. I think that's all how the infrastructure generates that stuff. That's not stuff that needs to get committed to core. So we are our own blockers on that one. We do have someone discovered a bug in this already, because some people, a brand new to Drupal.org user came in and said, hey, I got tasked with setting up a Composer site on 8.8.x to keep up with the new changes. So he found a bug in it and reported it. We've got that floating around. It's RTBC. It's minor, but it'd be nice to have that cleaned out before we say it's done.
Is that the issue that you linked me to previously?
The second one I just linked.
Okay. Cool.
The issue that I linked you to was also a new type of testing, because that would be really useful with the Composer Initiative, because then that would allow us to do things like, can we Composer require this project? Can we do Composer create project? What happens when we have the scaffolding set up this way and that way? And like it would be very nice to be able to use that same testing to, building and updating your site is something that this test can help with. So Composer Initiative would also love that. So Alex, we appreciate your offer to look at that. So and then beyond that, we're just getting that template file committed. And then I think,
can I ask which Alex was that for? Alex P?
Alex Pot.
Okay, that's what I thought. But
yeah.
Good.
Yeah, but I mean that was the same as auto updates. So no, I was saying Alex P, the one that I linked to first when we were talking about auto updates.
Okay. Who needs to
Yeah.
review the second issue?
Oh, any core committer can look at that one. That one's it's just a minor bug fix that is like, oh, oops, we got the paths wrong, I think.
Cool. All right. So you're making progress. You're down to your last couple of issues. I'm not going to go into details. So you need review on the last two things. And then what? Then you try and get it into 8.8?
No, then it's in 8.8.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah,
you only need reviews from Alex and core committers on those two issues, and then
right. And we have one more issue that'll need a commit to core, and that's the we're not quite ready to RTBC this yet. So it's not quite ready to go in. We're still working on it. But this is the last thing. Once this goes into core, then it becomes a marketing and communications and documentation kind of focus for 8.8. Because there's a lot of tutorials out there. There's a lot of like, how do you use Composer with Drupal, and they all point people at the Drupal Composer or Drupal Project, or I'm sorry, Drupal Project, Drupal Composer template, and they don't need to do that anymore. It's all in core, and everything shall work. We've accomplished the things we set out to do, and as part of phase one. So that's the as I was talking to Greg Anderson about this, we were like, it's hard to describe what this actually accomplishes, because it's like there was an old dirt road with muddy ruts, and we've gone through and paved it and added signage. So now it's, you could always do a Composer site before, but now it'll all be part of the official product. Yeah, better experience kind of for everybody around. That it's just all official, and they don't have to go to GitHub sites to figure out what to do, and it's all built into the product. So
the two links that I just got, are these just informational ones about what the project is trying to do?
No, there's let's see, the 2298 2680.
26, yeah.
Make sure that's the right one.
I've got it on screen.
Oh, yes, that's the last one that we need committed. We're working on it now. I'm not sure why it's postponed, but it's yeah. That's basically the very last one that we'll need. And once that happens, then we will be changing Drupal infrastructure to build the tarball using Composer instead of using Git. And that'll be the last step to where the Git repository is no longer something that we rely on as the product. And from that point forward, we can rearrange it or do whatever we want to with it. And we don't have to worry about the file system locations being an API or anything like that, because the product itself will be built from it instead of a mirror of it.
Okay, great. So your next steps then are to get those blockers unblocked by having the reviews done, do whatever requirements they come up with for remediation, write your documentation and enablement supports, and then do some PR stuff, and then get it committed. All right. I think that's everybody then.
Yeah, I don't know why it says automatic updates on our made tons of progress, but that link, we don't need that one.
Oh, sorry. It must be from somebody else. I pasted the wrong one in. Sorry.
No, that's fine. Great.
Thank you. So I'm trying to just grab all the updates so quick I might make some errors. Thank you guys for pointing those out for me to make sure that I get it right. And feel free to edit this document. I think it's open to you all in case you need to make changes to the updates that I wrote down here. Just quickly.
Is the document in the meeting invite? That's where I looked for it. I couldn't find it.
I think it is. Gabor, maybe you can help by adding it.
Put it into Zoom chat now. I will see if it was also on the invite.
Yeah, for the next time, but
yeah.
We'll do that. Cool. I think that's everything. If there's nothing else, does anyone else have anything that I've missed or that they want to add?
So the next of this would be...
Yes, because we're now monthly.
At DrupalCon or something? Is that true?
Oh, really? It's not before? I think it's the week before.
Week before.
If it's in a month, it would be the week before DrupalCon.
Do that then? No, it's actually, well, where's,
You tell me.
yeah, it's the 17th of October, so that's still 2 weeks before DrupalCon. So I think it would be useful to coordinate for DrupalCon then. Yep.
Sounds good. Okay. Thank you, everybody. And we'll talk to you on the 17th of October.
Yeah, and in case we can help you in the meantime, feel free to ping me. At least you can sign up for bugging everybody else.
All right, thanks.
Bye, everybody. Thank you for your updates. Keep up the good work.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.